Alright, so we've gotten to the point where we need to go ahead and design our navigation drawer. So this is what our navigation drawer is going to look like. So it's pretty basic and straightforward. We wouldn't like to spend a lot of time here. So to achieve this, we're simply going to have a drawer header, which is what we have here. And we're going to have a divider. And after that, we're going to have a list view. And inside of the list views, we're going to have a list style. So each of the list style is going to contain a leading icon, and the title is going to be a text widget. So those are the widgets that we need to put together to be able to have our navigation drawer. And after that, the next thing we are going to do will be to add a container with a menu icon, and we're going to make use of the position widget to put it in the appropriate place. So at the end of the day, when we click on the container, we'll be able to open up our navigation drawer, and when we click outside, we're going to go ahead and hide the navigation drawer. So that's exactly what we need to do. So without wasting any further time, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's go ahead and make the design. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the body of the scaffold. Now the next thing I'm going to do will be to add the drawer to the scaffold. So I'm going to have a drawer widget. Now the first thing I'm going to do will be to go ahead and wrap our drawer inside the container. So this will allow us to set the width for our drawer. So I'm going to go ahead and say width, and I'm going to set this to 250, and the color is going to be white. Now the next thing I'm going to do will be to add a list view inside our drawer. So the list view is going to be the child of our drawer. So I'm going to have a list view. So I'm going to remove the padding for the list view. So I'm going to set the padding to 0. Now the next thing I'm going to do will be to set the children for our list view. Alright, so the first child, or the first thing that we need to add into this list view will be the drawer header. So I'm going to go ahead and declare a drawer header widget. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the drawer header inside a container widget, and I'm going to go ahead and set the height to 160. Right, now the next thing I need to do will be to go ahead and kind of set the element that we want to have inside the drawer header. So we simply just want to have the profile image and the person's name and a flat button that we can use to visit our profile page, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So inside the drawer header, I'm going to go ahead and set the box decoration, and I'm going to set the color to white. So I'm going to go ahead and set the child property, and the child is going to hold a row widget. Alright, so the image that we want to display in this image widget is going to be our user icon, which is this. So if you remember appropriately, we've already imported these images. So here I'm going to go ahead and say images slash user underscore icon.png. So I'm going to go ahead and set the height and width to 60 respectively. Okay, so at this time I think it just makes a lot of sense that we'll build our app so that we can be able to see the changes as we code along. So I'm going to go ahead and slide out our navigation drawer. So let's go ahead and continue with the design. Now the next thing I'm going to do will be to add some space. I'm going to have size box. Now the next thing I'm going to have will be a column widget. So we are going to have two text widgets inside of this column. The first is going to display our full name, and the other is going to simply read view profile. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and build this so we see what we have. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce the name. Now the next thing I'm going to do will be to go ahead and set the main axis alignment of this column. So I'm going to have main axis alignment.center. Alright, so now that we are done designing our drawer header, the next thing I'm going to do will be to go ahead and add a brand divider. That's what we called our divider earlier on, if we remember appropriately. Alright, so I think there is a difference in color here. So I think I can just easily go ahead and add colors the white to this container. So this will fix that. Now the next thing we need to do will be to go ahead and add the various list styles, which is going to be our navigation drawer items. So to do that, firstly I'm going to add a size box, just more like to give some space before we start having the list styles. Now let's go ahead and add the list styles. So I'm going to have list style, and inside our list style we're going to have a leading, and our leading is going to be an icon widget. And inside of the icon widget, I'm going to have omicons dot card gift. So the first navigation item is going to be for free, right? So that's why we're actually making use of this particular icon. Now the next thing I need to do will be to go ahead and set the title for this particular list style. So the title is going to take a text widget, and the widget is going to read free rides. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and set the style. So the font size is going to be 16. So another thing we can do is to create a special style for our drawer items, so we don't have to always have style, text style, font size and all of that. And let's say in future we want to make some changes to our navigation drawer items, we can simply just edit the style and it will resolve on all of the items. So what I'm going to do will be to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to go into our lib folder. I'm going to create a new package or a new folder. So I'm going to call this folder styles. So inside of the folder, I'm going to go ahead and make a new .dat file. Alright. So the first thing I'm going to do will be to import material.dat. So now this file is going to contain all the different styles that we might need to use in different places in our application. So the first is going to be the drawer item style. So because this is going to be a constant, I'm going to start with K. So I'm going to have K drawer item style. So this is going to be equal to text style. And this text style, what we're going to have is simply font size equal to 16. So eventually, if we want to further customize our drawer item style, we can just come here. Now let's go back to main page and continue with our design. So I'm going to go ahead and assign K drawer item style. So this will be the style that we're going to be using. So now that we are done with the first list style, I'm going to go ahead and build our app. Alright, so this is what we have. So as you can see, our drawer item is showing appropriately just the way we expected it. So I'm going to go ahead and add the second list style, which will be for payments. Okay, so we have that. The next item that we're going to have will be for ride history. Alright, so we have that. The next is going to be for support. Alright, and the last item is going to be about. Alright, so now that we've successfully designed our navigation drawer, the next thing we need to do is to add a menu button that can actually allow us to easily open up our navigation drawer, because currently we have to go to the edge of the screen to slide it out, but this doesn't actually work well in most scenarios. So it's better that we have an icon that we can click on to open up our navigation drawer. So if we remember appropriately, we are making use of a stack layout, so it means that we're going to have to use a position widget to place our menu button in the appropriate position, right? So I'm going to go ahead and label this as search sheet. Now the next thing we want to do will be to go ahead and add our menu button. Alright, so this is going to be a container, and inside the container, of course, we're going to have some box decoration. So the color is going to be white, and we're going to have a circular border radius of 20 pixels. Alright, now the next thing we need to do will be to go ahead and set some box shadow. So here I'm going to have box shadow. So the color of the shadow is going to be black 26. And the blur radius is going to be 5.0. The spread radius is going to be 0.5. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and set the offset, which will be 0.7 and 0.7. Alright, so we have our box shadow. The next thing we need to do will be to set a child for our container. So the child is going to be a circle avatar. Okay, so the circle avatar is going to have a white background, and the radius is going to be 20. Then the child is going to be an icon, and the icon is going to be icons.menu. So let's go ahead and do a hot reload. So currently you can see where our menu button is. Now what we need to do is to use a positioned widget to put it in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap our container inside a positioned widget. So the top alignment is going to be 44, and the left alignment is going to be 20. Okay, so this actually looks really good. So currently the color of our menu or our menu button is blue, but we don't want it to be like that. So we can simply go ahead and set the color for our icon. So I can simply go ahead and say color to be colors dot black 87. Now the next thing we need to do is to make it possible that when we click on this menu button, it's going to open up our navigation drawer. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this container with a gesture detector. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this with a widget, and the widget is going to be a gesture detector. The next thing we need to do is to add an untap callback. So here we'll be able to write the code that will actually go ahead and open up our navigation drawer. Now to be able to open our navigation drawer, we need to first of all define a new global key. So in the end, we are going to assign the global key to our scaffold. So I'm going to go to the top of this class. So here I'm going to go ahead and say global key of the type of scaffold state, and I'm going to call this our scaffold key. So it is going to be equal to new global key of the type of scaffold state. So now the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and assign the scaffold key to our scaffold. The next thing we need to do is to now write the code that will go ahead and open the navigation drawer. So to open our navigation drawer, you can simply go ahead and say scaffold key dot current state dot open drawer. Alright, so this is simply all that we need to do. So to verify that everything works, I'm going to go ahead and restart our application. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the button, and bam, we have our navigation drawer. So currently you haven't done anything here, so most of the clicks are not working. And if we type outside, it hides the navigation drawer. So far so good, we've actually been able to design the main page. Now in the upcoming classes, we're going to go ahead and talk about fetching our current location and doing other cool stuff that we can't wait to get into. So as soon as you're ready, head over to the next lesson so we can get started. But this will be all for now, so see you in the next class.